I don't know if these work.
Sorry, hang on. All right, go ahead. Hi.
Hello.
Hola. You sound great. Is it all?
You can hear
Oh yeah,
me?
yeah.
Okay, because I was like, I don't think my husband's, they're not charged. He's not
Oh no, you
here.
sound great. You're crystal clear, so all good.
All right.
I totally forgot my camera was gonna move on me when the double screen comes on. So now that there's two of us, what I thought my camera was gonna be showing is like way more. I'm just like, oh, hold on. I'm gonna see if I can move it.
Okay.
No, it's not where I want it to be. Oh, the joys of potting in your basement. Okay, I think that's better. Now my
You have
headphones
a
are.
good setup.
Do you like it? Is it okay?
Yeah, it's cute.
Okay, just don't mind my microphone likes to fall in my face. Things things can get hairy in here, but so far so good. Yay. Um okay, well thank you for taking the time. I have I'm just so excited to talk with you and connect with you. Um I just didn't want to sound like I just didn't want to bombard you with like a zillion questions.
Oh, it's okay. We get them a lot.
I bet. I
I'm sure
bet.
you do too. I'm sure you do too.
Yes, and like feel free. I'm just gonna position my mic because it's already falling. Feel free to ask me, like interrupt me, ask me whatever, because we have so. I feel like we are long lost medical mom friends that have so much to catch up on. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
And
Yeah.
probably a lot in common with,
Oh,
our
so
kids
much.
having the same diagnosis.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm really excited to learn more about Huxley. Her just her similarities connecting to Bella has just oh, it's been such she's just a source of joy for me.
Well,
So,
I'm glad.
yeah.
Everyone was tagging you in the beginning, saying like that they looked alike. And I just
Yeah.
didn't know if that would make you like sad or happy that there's like
Oh,
similarities and like their personalities. I feel like even as Huxley's getting older are so like
yeah.
bubbly and outgoing and they bring a lot of light, I think, to just like the world in general when things
Yeah.
are really bad sometimes, but like they are so strong. And
Yeah.
you would not know that Huxley has a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes if you just like saw her out because
Yeah.
she just like doesn't ever let it affect her, which is
Yeah.
like amazing. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, they are kindred spirits, one in themselves. Like they are just so much the same, and I think that's what brings me so much joy is to see the similarities that they have and the strength and the joy that Huxley has and the similarities. It doesn't make me sad at all. It makes me just so happy to see her doing so well. But we'll get into that. We got to
Okay.
get all the formalities of these pods. Okay, so I'm gonna say an intro,
Okay.
and I made a little intro. I hope you like it. And then I have like my iPad, and I have like we can just chat. But it
Some
was funny.
questions.
Oh yeah, like when I was
Okay.
like I don't know where to start. I'd have questions firing off in my brain for you, and then I'd write them down, and they're just so out of order. And I'm like, I don't think we can do an order because it'll just go wherever it goes, and it'll be fine.
Sounds good. Works for me.
Okay, so I'll start and then we can just chat away.
All
And
right.
then so like my producer Denny, he's like a really good friend. His daughter battled and beat cancer and we met through him and his podcast interviewing me. And so now he's our producer and he helps like make all everything all like pretty sounding and everything like blends together and every podcast he has a voice note of Bella that I send him, and he adds a different one to every at the end of every pod. And
Oh, I love that.
yeah, so I'll say my intros and I'll do my things, and he'll put it all together, and it's just amazing. So thanks, Denny. I know you're listening when you get this recording.
Thank you. Make us
Anytime,
sound great.
yeah, make it sound fabulous. Okay, all right. So I am no pun intended. Well, maybe there is now. Beyond excited for today's episode of Beyond Brave because this isn't just any medical mom chat. This one hits me right in the heart. Thanks to my amazing TikTok family, I recently discovered Kennedy and her incredible daughter Huxley, all the way from Minnesota in the US. My followers were tagging me, sharing Kennedy's page on TikTok, and pointing out something I immediately felt: the similarities between Bella and Huxley. They are undeniable. The way Huxley fights every day, faces every challenge with bravery, and carries herself reminds me so much of my Bella. And connecting with Kennedy has been deeply healing for me. In this
Mhm.
episode, we dig into Huxley's journey, including her very recent second bone marrow transplant that just happened literally 2 days ago. I've been holding back from bombarding Kennedy with a million questions because I wanted our first full conversation to happen here. And so that all of you could witness this brand new medical mom to medical mom connection. We talk about the triumphs, the fears, the raw moments, and the heartaches that come with raising a medically complex child. And I promise, whether you're a medical parent or not, there is something in this conversation that will hit you, inspire you, and maybe even make you cry and laugh all at once. So, welcome to Beyond Brave, Kennedy, and thanks for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I immediately, because you're day 2 from Huxley's second bone marrow transplant, so my brain immediately goes back to when Bella had hers, and this was like, you are like taking classes, you I think, right? And you
Yep.
are comfortable right now. You're not
Yeah.
stressed. You don't look like you're stressed. Whereas Bella's was a whole different story there, but we can get into that later. But I just wanted to start with like kind of like your current situation right now. I'm excited to learn so much about Huxley. So she's 2.
Just 2.
Yeah.
Yes. She's
When's
in
her
2
birthday?
in October.
Yeah. What day in
Yeah.
October?
The 23rd. So she has a fun birthday. We're 10, 23, 23. Can't
Oh,
forget it.
no. Oh, oh, so what is she up to right now? Is she in the hospital right now?
Yes, she is in the hospital. We've been there for I don't know how long. We got there January 10th, and then
Okay.
her transplant was the 20th. So we're day plus 2, and she's doing really well. As you know, you've gone through
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
The like chemo effects don't take effect until like a little later on. So right now, I think her biggest thing is we have a little bit of mucositis in her
Okay.
gut though, because they introduced, this is new, this wasn't at the hospital last time. They do red light therapy now on
Oh,
their
no way.
mouth. Yeah,
Oh,
and it's just to help with mucositis.
okay.
So we started doing that, and they did that like um the day that we were admitted. Or I
Oh, wow.
guess the next day, because we were admitted, and
Yeah.
they get everything ready, and then yeah, the following day they started it. So that's been really cool to see. That's new from
So
last time.
I have a zillion things firing off in my brain. First of all, I want to get to the why of any bone marrow transplant, but then we need to start with her condition. So what was she born with, and what's the main cause for even the first bone marrow transplant?
Yeah, so she's born with cartilage hair hypoplasia,
Right?
or CHH, and she was born with SCIDS, or severe compromised immune system. She was diagnosed with that like pretty instantly because they in Minnesota test for like SCIDS, CF, and I want to say like congenital CMV, and maybe a couple other things that are like every baby that's born in Minnesota gets those tests.
Yeah. The
So
newborn.
hers came back, yeah, and she had SCIDS. But in CHH, like we knew that was a possibility. So her numbers were not technically like full SCIDS because they can develop over time, their
Mm.
immune system. But they look at like their absolute neutrophil count and their T cells and B cells, specifically in your white blood cells. And so hers were less than 300. I think 250 was like the first number. And anything less than 300 is like you have SCIDS.
Wow.
And if you have SCIDS, you need bone marrow transplant.
Oh, okay.
It can develop over time. Waited, and I think we got the news at 6 months of age that like her the T cell growth stopped at 500 and it should be 1500. So they were like, okay, well, the only way that you don't have to live in ice is we got home when Huxley was a little over 2 months. We spent months in the NICU. So when we got home, we lived in isolation. People came over, they had to wear masks, like we were doing all of that. And we came home in like the middle of winter, you know. So that was fun.
Oh, yep.
So we got the news that she needed a bone marrow transplant at 6 months old, and it was really fast. So we got the news, and before she turned 7 months, we were in the hospital and getting her first marrow transplant.
So okay, so there's so much.
Yeah, that was a lot of information.
That's really, because there's so when Bella was born, it was 2013, right? So Canada we didn't even have newborn skid screening.
Oh, okay.
So her discovery of her having skid it's a miracle story. Like she was born with Hirschsprungs, which does Huxley have Hirschsprungs?
No, she doesn't have the like gut issues that also
No, the gut. Oh, good.
Yeah.
So
She
Bella
does have
got
tube just from being in the NICU because they put her on like a CPAP. So if you're on a CPAP, you can't drink a bottle because you can aspirate. Yeah. So and then after she was drinking a bottle by mouth, and then she got really sick after her first transplant with just like vomiting and stuff from the chemo, but with transplant, that's really bad. So she has not eaten by mouth since her first transplant and is like 100% on tube feeds. So we're working on it in therapy, but I think we're going to start all over now that we're doing another transplant.
Okay. There's so many differences between the girls' transplants. So I have questions. Oh, my brain is just like firing off. I can't even keep up. But Bella went through the same thing with oral aversion.
Yeah,
But
I think a lot of kids do.
Yeah, hers was like months of not being allowed to eat, but we didn't know it started with Hirschsprungs for her and bowel issues threatening her life, and so it was all about her bowels, and we didn't even know she had skid till she was 11 months old. But hers, I think they told me like there's a few, I think 20 different forms. Hers was so rare they had never seen it before. And when they measured her T cells and B cells, it was 0. So I didn't even know they gauged under 300. In some cases, they were just like her immunologists, just when they discovered it. The only reason they discovered it, we were already in hospital for her bowel surgeries and bowel complications that weren't getting better. And I picked her up one day and I felt a lump under her armpit, and they discovered a couple more and biopsied them because they were large, like the size of a golf ball or so. And I mean, everything started clicking as to why we were in hospital, not just for bowels, but she was never getting better. She was going through.
She didn't have an immune system.
She didn't have an immune system through 4 surgeries, and so when they discovered it was skid and was 0, they of course put us right in isolation and set her up for a bone marrow transplant. And so my next question was, how did that search go for you guys? Because my husband and I were in a match, and Bella was our first. And I think is Huxley your first and only kiddo?
Yeah, she's our first and only. Right now, so we hope to have more kids, but
yeah. So were you guys a match?
So we were told that to be a match, it can't be a parent because that's only half of Huxley's DNA. So we were not matches. And then actually, like, nobody in your immediate family would be a match unless it's a sibling because of the different types of DNA. So we put out a search through, it used to be called Be the Match in their base in Minnesota, but now it's called NMDP. I don't know what that stands for. I should have looked that up. But like other families and friends and everybody was joining, and you just like swab your cheek. You have to be 18 to, I think it's like 35 years old, and then you just like get put in their database. And so we asked a bunch of people to do that, and nobody that we knew was her match, but she matched with somebody from Germany. So
Oh,
it's a
that's
boy. He's my
oh,
age actually, and he's
freaking
done
me.
both of Huxley's transplants. So
Was
her
okay.
first one, she had like a true bone marrow transplant where
Yeah,
he gets put under, they take marrow from his hip, and he has more pain than Huxley did because it's just
yeah,
like a bag of blood for her transplant. And then now
yeah.
her second one is called a peripheral stem cell transplant, where
Mm,
he got all of his blood in his body was filtered, and they just pull out the stem cells that's like circulating in your bloodstream, and then that's given to Huxley. And so he feels more like he had the flu for a couple days instead of being out of work for like 2 weeks the first time. So
okay, there's
we're
a
very
couple things.
grateful.
Oh my goodness, yes. Oh my gosh, so many things. Okay, so I'm gonna forget as I go and then probably jump back and forth. But don't let me forget. I want to get to why the need for the second bone marrow transplant because um, Bella only needed one
Yes.
for Skid, uh, and her donor
Most
was all
kids only need one. We had
okay. Okay, because there's also gene therapy firing off in my head. I don't know. What was the discussion around
we
that?
haven't
And I
heard
do
anything
know
about that.
no, nothing for gene therapy because um I know that's been mentioned and talked about recently in the medical community, but I haven't heard of it working. I haven't heard any detailed stories with it working with SCID patients yet. Um, but for
Okay.
Bella, her bone marrow donor was a nurse from Germany, also my age at the time. Like I think so Bella had they looked for 2 months. By the time we found out she had
Okay.
skid and needed her match, it was December, and we she had her bone marrow transplant March 25th, and so um, yeah, she was a perfect match. And even though she was an older patient, I think they had two 9 out of I don't know if they told you about the numbers about the 10 out of 10 matches, but at the time,
Yeah, Huxley
so this would have
is 10 out of 10.
okay, yes, yeah, they needed that 10 out of 10, and then I remember them telling me like so the bone marrow transplant went great for Bella. She recovered, and in that recovery, she didn't get a full I forget what you call it like a full transition of the donor cells, so she was mixed, and she had complications post that caused her B cells to not fully develop. So it was like they had told us that it would be safer for her to have a lifelong IVIG, so that
Okay.
monthly immune
Yep.
globulin would be the choice versus a second bone marrow transplant. They were like, there's no way. And I don't know if that was due to the type of skid she had, but I'm just really curious as to know is why Huxley needed a second one.
Yeah, so Huxley's first transplant transferred really well. She was doing great. All of the cells came back in. And then later on, so we hit like the 6 month mark, she started needing regular blood transfusions. And I think like 1 year post transplant, we found out that she had developed like a rare complication with her first bone marrow transplant that through all of the chemos that she had, it shut everything down in her body. And when the white blood cells like engrafted into her bone marrow, her red blood cell line didn't turn back on. So her
Mm,
body wasn't making, or it turned on, but very little. So it wasn't making a ton of its own red blood cells. There's a word for it. I can't remember what it is.
yeah.
It's
Okay, so
something
her
that
red
doesn't make sense, you know?
yeah, yeah. Oh, I
And
totally know what you
so
mean.
yeah,
Yeah.
so the chemo regimen they did the first time is like lesser than what they did the second time,
Mm.
because the first time she didn't have an immune system, and then they actually were trying to leave her red blood cells, like her body would make her own. So
Okay.
they were trying to like mix the donor and Huxley's cells together. And it worked, as in she didn't develop graft versus host disease, but through the chemo and everything, it just like didn't turn back on.
Mm.
So the option for so basically Huxley has anemia, and the
Oh,
only way
yeah.
to fix anemia is a bone marrow transplant. So like even if you didn't have skids or anything else and you just had anemia, you would need a bone marrow transplant because you
Okay.
can't have regular blood transfusions, otherwise the iron builds up in your body and it would like shut down your liver. So Huxley needs another transplant because of her anemia.
Okay.
And this time around, we use stronger chemo because she has a working immune system. That wasn't the problem anymore. Now it was the anemia.
Oh,
So
oh,
this hopefully is our last bone marrow transplant, and we hope
yeah.
everything goes well. Our chances for, or I guess her chances for graft versus host disease are less because it's the same donor. So
Mm.
it's more like a sibling donor now than a random person because she
Okay.
already has like the donor cells in her body and they had not like attacked her body at all. So that's like promising. We do have more chances of her developing like liver issues because of all her regular blood transfusions. Her iron level in her liver, we were doing MRI scans to check that, is higher than they wanted, but not high enough to be like, we need to wait for the transplant. So she's starting some medications now. Day 5, they'll start them, and they'll run through the time that we're in the hospital, um, just to make sure her liver is okay.
So, can we before we like I don't want to say put our listeners to sleep. We definitely are not putting them to sleep, but I know it's so easy for us to talk about all this medical stuff and just
Yeah.
understand. But before we get into that more, can you rewind for me a little bit and let me know like a little bit about like your pregnancy? Like did you know anything prior? I know with Bella, we didn't know anything
Oh,
prior and
really?
no it turned out to be like so we didn't know anything till after she was born and then
Okay.
it took at least 2 years to fully understand each of the rare diagnoses that she had. So the dwarfism with the CHH, the Hirschsprung's, and then the SCID. And so once genetics in both Saskatchewan and Alberta, like the two provinces that we were in for
Mhm.
children's hospitals, once they had some time to go over it and understand it all, they explained it to us as a spontaneous gene mutation. So
Oh,
they
we're told it's genetic.
well, yeah, so part of it is so it's like the recessive gene, right? Like the
Yep.
CHH. And the way they explained it to me is um you have this recessive gene and so it's like a 1 in 4 chance, right?
Yep.
So they were like if you were to have another child it'd be a 1 in 4 chance. And so for example our second child Waylon, he's a carrier. So the spontaneous gene mutation comes into effect where it's like there is there's nothing in my family and nothing in Lyle, my husband's family, that they could see that would cause this. We are the
Okay.
first, and so it's like spontaneous in that sense, I guess. But then it's so complicated. But we later came to understand like how it's a 1 in 4 chance of our next child being having cartilage hair hypoplasia, and then that's kind of like the umbrella diagnosis
Yeah.
where you can have all these other diagnoses underneath it like skid and Hirschsprung's and whatnot. But
Yeah. It's like
I
a
remember
spectrum
yes,
disease
yeah,
or
yeah,
condition. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, basically, I think if I was to like dumb it down, like Lal and I dating, getting married, having kids, like we had no idea we were both carriers. So it's like
Yes, same.
how would we know our even our first child would? So is that similar to you guys? And And
Yes, I later found out though that my husband's mom's cousin has CHH.
no
So she was
way.
born with, they didn't know, she's in her 40s now. So she was born, parents didn't know anything else. She wasn't diagnosed with dwarfism until she was like, I think she was 5.
Oh,
They just like thought she was
yeah,
small.
yeah.
And then she wasn't diagnosed with CHH until she was 11 and had a reaction to some vaccine. And they were like, you can't have vaccines anymore. It could kill you. And she like never got tested for anything. She has like lives a completely normal life. Um, she thinks that maybe her immune system isn't the best from that diagnosis, but has never like seen a specialist for CHH and is totally fine. Where that's the opposite of like how we were told that Huxley would survive. So at 20 weeks, at the like anatomy scan, they listed like 7 things wrong with her that they saw in the ultrasound, and then we were referred to a high-risk doctor. And we had done the earlier genetic testing and nothing came back because CHH
Hmm,
is not something that is obviously tested for.
right.
And so we saw another we went to the high-risk doctor and they did another anatomy scan and was like, it looks like dwarfism because they measure their femur. So that's like the long bone. And then all of your baby's measurements are based off of one bone, which I think is kind of crazy. But so then they did more genetic testing, nothing was coming back. So we actually had to join a research study.
Oh, wow.
And I had to do an amniocentesis, so they stick a
Oh,
really long needle in your belly
those
when you're
are,
pregnant.
yeah. Are those risky?
And yeah, they can have complications and could potentially result in a miscarriage.
Yeah.
So we made the choice to do it, and it went well. I like watched a giant needle go into my stomach, which was a
Oh, really?
little traumatizing.
Yeah.
Um, so they sent out Huxley's DNA, my DNA, and my husband's DNA. And we like Huxley's entire DNA was sequenced in this research study. And it came back with a gene mutation of her. Let me look it up. I have it written down.
Yeah, we had that test done as well. It was quite funny at the time when my husband and I were like, "Okay, let's find out if we're related." Because at the
Yeah.
time it was like they don't know how this happened, right? So it's like the only explanation sometimes is they were telling us about, I think it was like not the Amish community. I really hope I don't get this wrong, but there was a community where it's either common if you're a part of that, um, not Danish. I thought it was, anyways. I might get it wrong, so I better not say. But it was either that or you're related, and we were like,
Oh,
great. Um, so or you're both carriers of this gene, and it's all this scientific explaining that they carried on with. But yeah, they had to get um uh we had Bella's blood banked at birth. I can't remember exactly why, but they had the hospital she was born at. They needed to do this testing, like the exact testing you're talking about. They
okay.
needed her they sorry, so it was like after her bone marrow transplant. That's why they were like, okay, genetics. They were like, we need to figure this out with her original blood, not the
Oh,
blood
yeah.
after her bone marrow transplant. So thankfully we had some banked and they were able to go from there with that. But
Yeah, the gene mutation, I don't know if you know what it is, but it's the
oh,
RMRP gene.
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I remember those letters. Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, we found that out and I was 32 weeks pregnant, I think at this
Oh,
point. And
okay.
they actually offered to give me an abortion.
Oh.
Yeah, because after pretty much every appointment we went to, I started having to go weekly just to like, I don't know why they just wanted to do ultrasounds to measure everything and make sure and we didn't know what we were having either, so make
Yeah.
sure she was growing well.
Yeah.
And they every appointment were like, your baby isn't gonna probably live, the rib cages are too small, the lungs can't develop, you should really meet with palliative care, which
Oof.
is care for like end of life for
Yeah.
children and infants. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I think every appointment I left like bawling and just
Mm.
like had a very awful experience
That
and
is, man.
a very fun pregnancy. And it's unfortunate because my pregnancy was actually like very easy. There was nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
Really, there was nothing wrong with Huxley. Her heartbeat was great.
Yeah.
And like she was growing and I was getting bigger. And they just like thought that she, and she came out. I had C-section and they just whisked her away. I didn't even see her, nothing, didn't hear cry. Sure, that was in the other room taking care of her, like came in and was like, congrats, you have a girl. And I remember my first question being, is she alive? An awful thing that
Oh,
we had to do. But
yeah.
she was actually on her own. They didn't give her any oxygen or like hook her up to her seat in the NICU. So my husband left with her, and then I was alone in the OR as they like closed you up. And then in recovery, I spiked
Mm.
a fever, so you can't go into the NICU if you have a fever. So I actually didn't see her
Mm.
for I want to say like 6 hours it was until I like got
Oh,
to
man.
go up there. And then they like push you. I haven't walked yet because I had a C-section. So they like
Yeah.
pushed me on a gurney into this tiny NICU room and
Oh.
like I like held her hand because then you can't move like once they're all hooked up to everything, you have to wait. I think it was like day 4 I finally got to hold her.
Oh, man. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Oh, it's taking me back in so many ways, and it's like
Yeah, were you
oh,
guys
there's
in the NICU or was like
no.
your birth fine?
It's just crazy to me how like there's so much the same but so much different because like we're rural like Saskatchewan, and so Bella like I mean our city isn't that small. I guess we have like I think like 20,000 here. But
Okay.
yeah, I didn't, I was blissfully unaware, right, that anything, whereas you guys, they were more like, okay, this is like medical things are going to happen as soon as she's born, whereas with Bella it
Yeah,
was
we
okay,
changed our hospital and everything. So
yeah,
we're south of like Minneapolis, St. Paul. We're
okay,
about 45 minutes south. So I wanted to give birth in like the next town over, a couple towns over. And I like picked up my OB and was like, yeah, I'm going to give birth where I was born. Like, this is
yeah,
great. And we had to like move everything and then ended up going to, we call it the cities. And
yeah.
gave birth at the hospital that's connected to our children's hospital up here.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
for our province didn't even have a children's hospital when Bella was born, and the closest one was 6-hour drive away, which was Calgary. And so, yeah, I mean, my pregnancy was great. I had a similar 20-week like 4D ultrasound at the time when they were like, "Oh, she's measuring a little small." Like the only kind of clue looking back was that in my second trimester, they noticed that she kind of stopped growing. And then
Okay.
that's when they booked me for an MRI at at
Oh,
20 weeks. Yeah, an MRI and a 4D ultrasound is basically their way here of how they were like, okay, let's make sure. And so I remember going to that and then being like, yeah, she's just measuring small. Like, is there small people in your family? And I was like, yeah, I don't know. Like my, my
who
mom's side,
knows?
maybe, but I was like, I don't know. I got 6-foot uncles. I got 4-foot uncles. Like, I don't know. Like, so it wasn't ever anything like your child will not, probably not survive. It was like, I didn't have any of that, which I can't imagine making a pregnancy any easier. And the
No, and they're
stress.
like, you're not supposed to be stressed during a
Yeah.
pregnancy, relax. And then they're like, getting all of that information. So it was fun.
Yeah. And that, yeah, that is heartbreaking. And I didn't have that. And then Bella was born, and I didn't realize like that I my water broke, and then leaked, like I didn't have a big water break. So
Okay.
now looking back, it kind of actually was. And I was in, at home at 2 in the morning, and then just went textbook labor. And so then by the next day, I was like contractions close enough to, okay, go to the hospital. They monitored me. And then it just ended up, um, as I progressed, like it in total was like 36 hours of labor.
Oh,
But
geez.
I didn't even, I didn't know at the time. It was all first for me. So it was a blur. But what ended up happening was I developed a fever, and then
Okay.
and then I just didn't progress. And so they were like, okay, emergency C-section. And so had the C-section, but in a similar sense to you, I had the C-section, I got to see her, but in the same sense, they whisked her away with the pediatrician. And
Yeah.
my husband didn't tell me this till a while after, but it was really heartbreaking for him because they took Bella. I heard her cry, and the anesthesiologist was like, peeked over the curtain, "It's a girl," and then she was gone. And they sewed me up, and my husband was like, that was horrible. He just stood there and told me all the things that are wrong with her, and he's like, "What do you mean?" And yeah, it was just kind of after that. Um, she was born with like her, like, of course she's got tiny bones, like from dwarfism, right?
Yep.
And so her right arm was tucked really, really, really tight. And so she had some muscle damage and nerve damage in her hand from that. And so her right arm kind of was always smaller than her left. And they were just going through this whole list of things that I think Lyle just kind of blocked out because it was really. And then they brought her to me, and I started breastfeeding. And then it was like 3 days of like a blur because of the amount of drugs you're on from that emergency C-section is just like,
Yeah.
it was nuts. So it's like you weren't really seeing clearly, but what had happened on the third day was her distension from her Hirschsprungs was so prominent, and she hadn't pooped. And then we realized she was so distended, and then that was our air ambulance to the NICU, and then our hospital life started from there.
Did you get to give her breast milk the whole time?
That was another, that was a hard, it was like our first 3 days together. I got to breastfeed her, and I was happy to do whatever, like breast bottle, and the nurses kind of helped me with that. But on, like, she had her first bowel surgery at 3 days old because her colon was like a blockage in her bowels.
Yep.
And so from that point on, she had an NG, and it was like, until that surgery was recovery, it was a lot of pauses in between. So a lot of the reason why she got her oral aversion was because of that NG tube that had to be down her nose for the first year before she got her G tube. She didn't get her G tube till she was 1. So
Okay.
there's a lot of oral aversion. And then, um, long
Did you
story
put
short,
did
oh,
you put breast milk down her NG though?
oh yeah, yeah, I did, yeah, because we also didn't know, she had no immune system at the time. But looking back, they're like, that's really good that you could give her that, because I could give her some immunity from my breast milk,
See, I
which is,
was told that I couldn't give her breast milk
oh, yeah,
from
oh,
because she was diagnosed with SCIDS.
yeah,
You can't give them breast milk because they could get CMV. And I
oh,
got tested later and was like a carrier. I've had CMV at some point in my life and had like the
right,
antibodies in my breast
right,
milk. And that was another hard pill to swallow because I
oh,
wanted to breastfeed. I specifically wanted to breastfeed, but I always just like wanted to at least give breast milk. So I started pumping right away and had like a stockpile of it already because when you pump, you kind of
yeah,
overproduce. And so, yeah, I actually donated it. So I feel good about that.
oh,
But
good,
yeah, like
yeah,
November, I like started weaning because they were like, you can't give her breast milk. So, but
well,
that's one thing where I'm like, could I
crazy,
really not have, or would
because
it have helped? You know?
yeah, like, I'm pretty sure, like, when we had discovered she had SCID, and they were just like, "How is your child alive?" Part of
Yeah.
it was them saying, like, you know, maybe she did survive a little while off of the immunity that you gave her
Hmm.
from, everything, like just being in you, having your immunity carry on for her for a little while, your breast milk, whatever it was. But yeah, who knows? Maybe they know more by now, but I'm pretty sure they did a test to her surviving partially on that. But I also have like my boobs were like not built for breastfeeding. They were giving up early. But I mean, it was a lot of stress, right? Like I have a 3-day-old in a surgery. We're in the NICU. I'm a first-time mom. But I later realized, no, my boobs just don't like to breastfeed. Because then when I had my son, which was like everything was kosher, again, they were like, no, this isn't a job for us. So I think I maybe got to give Bella breast milk for, I mean, I think 6 weeks, and then my boobs were like, nope, we're done. They gave up on them on their own. So I
Yeah.
probably
I was
some.
the opposite. I was like a cow over here on
Oh
that
yeah, so you could
section.
donate. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I think Bella even when my yes, because even when my boobs were done and not producing anymore, I think they did offer her some like donor milk too, because they I mean she had this bowel disease and so many surgeries. She had 2 surgeries while she was in the NICU, and so they wanted her to be able to get as much of that breast milk nutrients as they could
Yeah,
through this.
it's supposed to be really good for them.
Yeah,
I still
yeah,
to this day don't understand like
yeah,
why, the why behind their
yeah.
thought process on
Maybe
that.
they're maybe they're being over precautious with like when you're dealing with skid, it is so
Yeah.
it's they're so over precautious with like the infection risks for everything. Like, yeah, that was a big part of before. So like Bella had all these oral aversions with the bowels and the issues with that and the NG tube. So when she was a year old when they told her, you know, in November she was like a year old when they were like, okay, she's not allowed to eat by mouth anymore until after bone marrow transplant because they were so afraid of her aspirating and choking and that causing infection, and then she wouldn't be able to get the bone marrow transplant because they were like strict isolation. We were on strict isolation for 200 days before her bone marrow transplant happened, like between the time we found out and then it happened. So it was like she
Wow, that's
just
insane.
she just relearned how to eat and drink, and then they're like, nope, we're done. Like, no more risk. I remember that was a big roller coaster. And
She did eventually, right? Like
oh
she
yeah,
was yeah.
yeah, we worked really hard, yeah, with OT and PT therapies, and she eventually, yeah, I got lots of videos, especially right around when she, so she was 15 months when she got her bone marrow transplant, and um, she worked really, really hard after that. So by the time she was 2, she was drinking out of a sippy and getting better at eating, and yeah, yeah.
There's hope for Huxley. She
Oh
is
yeah,
not.
for sure.
I'm thinking when she understands more that like everyone else eats by their mouth. I mean, we're in all the therapies for it. We've been in all
Yeah,
the therapies since, I mean, pretty much the day she was born, we were in therapy.
yeah,
So
yeah.
hopefully
There
she
is hope
likes
for sure.
to sometimes drink some stuff. She'll like
Yeah,
taste things, but
yeah,
it's very much a no
yeah,
for me. It's a no for her.
yeah. Oh, that brings me back. I remember the therapies, just even it just being able to be in front of her was like progress, or
Mhm.
her touching something to her lips, and
Yeah,
yeah,
kissing or smelling, it's
yeah,
huge.
yeah. So if I don't know if anyone listening so far is like will be like, wait on, just wait on a doggone minute. Where is she right now? You guys told me she had a bone marrow transplant 2 days ago. Because if I'm going back to when Bella had hers, it was it was so different. It was so um she was very, very fragile, zero immune system, and so but also this bowel disease in the background. So it was ironic in a sense that this bowel disease that caused Bella to vomit for a
Oh,
year
yeah.
of her life every day, that actually stopped when we started chemo. It was like the best way we could explain it is the skin in her body was like weeds, and the low dose chemo that she had for 7 days prior to the bone marrow transplant was like Roundup. And so as soon as we got rid of those weeds, it was like clarity in her body, and she stopped vomiting. And then it
Well,
was
that's
also,
amazing.
yeah, and then on top of that, it was, liquids, IV only, IV nutrition, so her gut had rest. So it was
Yeah.
actually, it was really, especially after bone marrow transplant, it was, she was feeling great. So it was when you were talking about the chemo effects came more for Huxley after her first, so you're kind of preparing for that right now. Bella's was the opposite. She was really, really bad prior with the vomiting and the bowel issues, but also um, with her chemo, I think there was 3 different types of chemo. They called it low dose. Um,
Yes. Our first one was low dose
was low
too.
dose too. So Bella was like day 0 is when everything's gone. Like they are fragile to a speck of an infection would kill them. And so,
Yeah,
uh,
actually now her numbers are going even lower.
okay,
They
okay,
go into transplant and I think they look at their absolute neutrophil count and I think it
yeah,
was like 1.3 and it's supposed to be, I don't know, like I think like 10 and above, I think is
mhm,
normal. So it's low, but it wasn't absolutely gone. And today I got her lab results on my phone on the app. You know, you have
yeah,
access to everything now.
yeah.
And it was 0.34. So she's
Okay,
almost at zero. And so once she hit zero, then hopefully it'll go back up and you to be no, normal is like 1500. What am I saying? Normal is 1500, not 10. So you want it to be 3 days in a row consecutively above 500 and then they'll say you're engrafted and you have
yes,
a
right.
new immune system.
Yeah, yeah. I remember Bella's engraftment came. It was kind of beautiful in a sense because her bone marrow transplant was on March 25th, and she engrafted by Easter. And I
Oh,
don't know. I
well
don't know
that's
if you. Yeah. I hope I got that right. But so I remember something big happened. I'm pretty sure it was engraftment. It was something like really beneficial after her bone marrow transplant that happened Easter, and I just remember it being like, I don't know if you're a woman of faith, but I just remember thinking, like, this is Easter, this is new beginnings, this is new life, and this is her, literally her new life with her bone marrow transplant. And it was kind of
it
like,
really is. They call it
yeah,
their second birthday.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say earlier, like, just thinking back to Bella and the crisis we were in. She went septic from, like, she had her Broviac, her line that was supposed to give her the bone marrow transplant, that on like the 7th day of chemo went rogue, and they had to pull it, otherwise she would have died. Like, it was a source of infection that her
Yeah.
body was like, nope. And her heart rate went up to 200s, and it was like, okay, we might lose her. They got it out. She got the 24 hours of rest, they got in a new line, and they got the bone marrow transplant. So for me to see you calm and collected right now, 2 days after a bone marrow transplant, like I was in the hospital clinging to life, thanking God my child was still alive, and it was crazy. But things are smoother for Huxley, and like, are you, like, you guys don't need the raw McDonald house? You guys are like, do you have an apartment?
So
That was a lot.
I
Sorry.
was more like that, I think, the first time. I
Okay.
was like but I think it was the first time we went in and she had 2 weeks of chemo, 1 rest day, and then transplant. I was not working or I was working, but part-time. So I only was working on the weekends. And my husband, it happened in May. She had her first transplant. And my husband owns a business. And so his business is only him. So he was working full time on the weekends, like barely saw him. So I was like very much alone in this hospital room with this child. And she was so fine until after she got her transplant, and then she started to get really sick. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that was, like, scary, as in, I thought that, "Oh, she's doing great through chemo, transplant day was perfect, she had no reaction," and then, like, the day 1, she, like, started vomiting, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"What's happening?" And
Yeah.
so that was like hard. So she didn't last very long. We did she already had her G tube because we had a G tube put in before we could leave the NICU.
Yeah.
So she had that. We were trying to use it, but eventually we had to switch to the total IV nutrition.
Yeah.
Uh, and so like that was like all new and scary. But I mean, she recovered well. We did get a central line infection as well, but
Oof.
we were out of the hospital already, and we did stay at the Ronald McDonald House here in Minneapolis. Because you have to be within 30 minutes of the Ronald McDonald House the first 100 days of transplant.
Okay. Yeah.
So she did get
Yeah.
a central line infection. They had to pull it. She got another one put in. I think like they had to do a week of antibiotics before they put another one in. So she had
Yeah.
to get a PIC line put in because IVs are really hard to put in her. They
Yeah.
cannot
Yeah.
they cannot get an IV in her.
No. Yeah.
Um
They're
so
tiny.
yeah, she had
Little
7 days of antibiotics and then another central line was put in, and she was really good after that, and we were just a little more cautious with her central line because I was like, I don't know how that happened. I didn't like that. That was very scary.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she's had, I think this central line that she has right now is it's her 6th one. So we've
Oh,
gone through a lot of central lines.
yes. I was just gonna ask you that. How many? I know it's different for Bella. Like she had over, gosh, 15 or 16, but with her bowel disease, it was like there was months and years where she could only have TPN
TPN.
just
Yeah.
with the bowel issues and stuff prior to the her bowel transplant. So a lot of it was that, but man, like when you think about the little ones with dwarfism, Bella was the same. Like it got to the point where like that's why she developed SVC syndrome because um they only have so much space for
Yeah.
and their vessels are already tiny. And I remember they always told me like I think they blamed it a lot to do with her CHH, like her dwarfism, that a lot of her vessels were tiny and crooked. So not just tiny but crooked because their
Mhm.
bodies they're so compact and so there's no room for a straight line to a vessel. And then so all they could use was their SVC like areas for these big permanent lines and then those
Yeah, and
scarred
then
up.
the
Mhm.
more you use them, the smaller they get.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, even this second or her 6th one that we had put in, they had a really hard time, and they
Mhm.
actually had to use, like, a different vein path than all the other ones,
Mm.
which
Yeah.
is on the wrong side. They're always supposed to be on the right side, but
Mhm.
Huxley's is on the left because she had a port placed actually because her
Hmm.
central line was giving her so much trouble. Her skin was like rejecting it, the bandage pretty much. And so it was like falling off. So we were really worried about another infection.
Yeah.
So we opted to get a port placed, and that was working wonderfully. And we could like take normal baths, and she was in
Yeah.
swimming lessons. Like it was a lot more like normal, which was really nice.
Yeah.
But it poked through her skin. So we
Oh,
had like an emergency
oh
port
no.
removal slash moving to the other side. And I say that, and people are like, what do you mean her port poked through her skin? Like it's
Yeah.
so rare, and
It's not supposed to happen.
no, it's not supposed to happen.
Did her
So that
body
kind of changed her line
Yeah.
placement because we're keeping her port. Because we'll take her line out before we
Yeah.
leave the hospital because
Yeah.
we
Bella was
are.
never eligible for a port because her TBN was so needed so often, so it would be like accessing the port daily is
Yeah.
um not something you want to be doing. So that's why she always had to have Brovriax. I know a lot of people are like, why didn't you just get a port? But for like Huxley, so it's kind of like a little button that sits under their skin. Was her body like fully rejecting it to the point it like pushed it out?
Yeah, so, like, it's
Oh,
a triangle port, so there's, like,
okay.
3 prongs.
Yeah.
So, 2 of the prongs well, you could always see it, like, very prominently. You could be like, "Oh, yeah, there's the metal triangle, it's there." So, the top prong was, like, completely broke her skin. And then the
Mm.
other two looked like they were about ready to break her skin too. So then obviously that's like another source of infection
Yeah.
if it's broken. So they were like, So I think that broke, they put a bandage on it, and then the next day we had surgery because they couldn't like get us in or something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was, and
So
then she has scars. I mean,
yeah.
it's like it broke through, but it still looks like she has a port on that side because it just like left
Oh,
so
scarred it.
much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man. My goodness. I want to ask how you feel Huxley's strength is portrayed, because I see so much of Bella in her. And so I noticed on your TikToks, because I'm like obsessed with your TikToks now, because that's like your primary page
Yeah.
to share.
Yes.
And so I noticed on there you're teaching her sign language, and
Hmm.
she's got some motions and some sign language. I did that with Bella too. Like, I, as a teacher, I think the hardest thing for me at that age and prior was that when they can't tell you, like if they're not talking yet, like even maybe more so when she was like a baby or like one, I found it really really hard for her to tell me what she needed, because I just saw her in so much pain.
Or
And I
yeah, or
wanted,
like where does it
you know,
hurt?
yeah,
Where does
where does it hurt? Or to help figure out what's wrong, to help the doctors figure out what to do faster. It would be so much
Mm-hmm.
easier if they could communicate with you. So yeah, I did that as well. But like the sign language or wherever, and then just the more and the please and all of that. I was just like, oh, she did that too. That's amazing. Um, but
Yeah, because
I was,
Huxley's too, but she doesn't say a
yeah,
lot right now. We're
okay,
in speech therapy. It's kind of on pause now that we're in the hospital.
yeah,
But
yeah,
sign language was a big thing that they even talked about. And I was like, there's only a couple of
okay,
things that I really need you to learn before we go into the hospital. So you can
yeah,
tell me if something hurts or your
yeah,
tummy hurts. So we kind of got that down. Where she's like, ow, ow, and she'll like point to things. A lot of it is her central line. She's like, ow, ow,
yeah,
because it's like really, it's starting to itch, and she's probably having another reaction like her other one. So we hope it doesn't get as bad as the first time, but I'm kind of anticipating that it's going to
yeah.
cause some problems.
So she, okay, so she's, I can't, sorry if you answered this already, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, my brain is like, okay, so where you are you at the hospital right now or no? Where are you
No,
at right now?
I'm at home. My
You're
husband's
okay.
at the hospital.
Oh, okay, okay. Because I was gonna say, how is she doing like right now? Is she, has the chemo started being mean yet, or is she doing like good this
No,
time?
she's actually doing really well.
Okay.
We did Huxley does bolus feeds, which is like,
Yeah.
how do I explain this? Yeah, just like it's like a mealtime feed kind of.
Yeah.
So we spread that out because we were just doing breakfast, lunch, dinner. But she's like starting to gag and be a little nauseous.
Oh,
We're giving like she's on like Zofran and she gets
yeah.
Benadryl, and they even
Yeah.
use Ativan for nausea now.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
she's getting all that. We're on like a regimen to try and keep up with it, the nausea, because we know that was like one of her biggest struggles last time. So
Yeah.
we just spread out her feeds. So she's still getting like her um all her normal like feeds are through her G tube, water, everything. So we haven't made it to the new TPN yet.
Okay.
So that's been really good.
Yeah.
We hope that it continues this way, but we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see. So yeah, I'm at home. My husband is
Yeah.
at the hospital.
Okay.
We
Okay.
have two dogs that we still have to take two dogs and a cat that we still have to take care of also
Yeah.
at home. And then I'm also in school, so I have
Yeah.
school that I have to go to too. So he's there with her full time more than I am this time around, because
How far is it to the
it
hospital?
doesn't work in the winter either. So
Right. Right.
um, it's about 45 minutes. With
Okay.
traffic, it's probably like an hour, but yeah,
Okay.
it's not
Okay.
awful.
Lala and I were in, so I remember those days when it was in Calgary, her primary hospital where she had her bone marrow transplant, a lot of her bowel surgeries, and that was a 6 hour drive. So there's a lot of times where, the hubby has to, one of you has got to work and keep the house going and the pets alive and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like, we'd go 2 weeks without seeing them. Um, and I still to this day, I'm just like, how was dada your first word? I'm like, come on. But yeah, sorry, what was that? You
I
froze
said
for a
data
minute.
first.
Did she? Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Oh goodness. Um, so what are you in school for?
Nursing, actually.
Oh, no way. What is it, like a certain type or just like LPN, RN?
An RN degree. No.
Oh, my word. That's awesome. That's so cool. Okay, so do you have to go to university or are you doing like online courses or how does that work?
No, it's in person. It's at a school called
Okay.
yeah, it's a in person. I looked for online. They don't do nursing online anymore. I'm assuming because of COVID. They were like, actually, that didn't work. So it's in
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
I'll this time next year I'll actually be finishing up. It's an accelerated program because I already have my bachelor's in science. Because before I had Huxley, I was a microbiologist, and then ended up quitting
Oh,
my job
wow.
to take care of Huxley. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I've been like in the sciencey world, and when I first started school, I wanted to be a nurse, and they were like, "It's so hard to get into. We only accept 50 people. You have to have straight A's." And I was like,
Mm.
"Just kidding, not smart enough for that." But now I'm like, I'm already Huxley's nurse. I can be
Yeah.
anybody else's nurse. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so what did you do as a microbiologist? What kind
I
of
worked in
job?
a lab at
Okay.
a home and like health manufacturing plant. So I tested like laundry soaps and lotions to make sure that they
Oh,
didn't have any bacterial growth and that they could be like sustained on a shelf, have shelf life. Yeah.
oh wow. Oh, that's so interesting. Okay, that's so different from my little teacher gig that I going on.
Were
Um,
you like a full-time teacher before,
yeah.
Bella?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I got my certification for SST, so special ed teaching, and then I've taught like all grades. And then for a little while when Bella was doing really, really good, like when she was like back in school in kindergarten and I got back into full-time teaching again and taught elementary for a little while. But I'm really just I'm thankful throughout that it's even through grief now that Bella's gone that I have a job like this that I can um I and I mean apart there's a million other reasons like especially like with my husband's work and all that he does I'm able to sub teach so kind of take as much on as I can and if I need a break I cannot like I don't have to say yes and I'm just blessed and fortunate enough to do that with the teaching degree but I'm the amount of people I have had tell me you should be a nurse. It's just like
You should
it's
do it. Yeah.
right. And I'm like, okay, so I wish so bad I lived in a larger center where I could even at least like volunteer at a Ronald McDonald House or a NICU
Mhm.
or work in a children's hospital. But I'm not. We don't live there. We're not close enough, right, for me to do that. So nursing, I think if I was to be a nurse in a hospital here, it would be kind of far removed from pediatrics, which is where I'd want to be. But
Yeah.
do you have like a goal on what specific type of nursing you want to do, or like home care, or like I don't even know all the titles, but there's like nurses that can go to houses, or like
Yeah, home care
would you,
nursing.
yeah, like would you be, you could be, or like could you get paid to be Huxley's nurse? I always wanted that to be the case, but it's not for us, I guess. But
Actually,
um,
here in Minnesota, we can be, they're called like personal care assistants,
okay.
PCAs. So I actually do get paid. I mean, it's very little. I get like 3 hours a day that I get paid to like take care of Huxley.
Oh wow.
More because she has a G tube. Not every state in the US does that, but yeah, in Minnesota you can. And then I can't get paid right now because she's in the hospital. So it like
Okay.
somebody else is technically taking care of her. Not that
Right.
they like feed her because we do all of that, but
Yeah.
legal and all that other insurance reasons, I think is the big one that like insurance is paying for me to get paid, I think is how I understand it.
Yeah, I mean, being in Canada, I don't know how that works. I just know, like, I feel like if I was in the state, like, we would be mortgaging our house. Like, how does that work? Because in Canada, we have our free healthcare.
Yeah.
So
So
would you?
Huxley's disabled technically
Okay,
because of her
okay,
dwarfism. So she qualifies for medical assistance.
okay.
Uh, so we actually don't get healthcare bills for Huxley.
Wow.
Um, Which, if we did, I mean, we got her first NICU stay bill, and it was like over $1 million. It was more than
Yeah.
that. I think it was like two something, and I was like,
That.
we can't afford that. Like, what? But we had a lot of help when we were actually in the NICU that was like helping us sign up for all of this and
Yeah.
um get the like bills taken care of. So we ended up paying, I think, just for like my C-section and then like part of Huxley's care, like a little bit, but it was only like maybe a couple days before the like medical assistants like took over and has covered all of the bills.
Holy
'Cause, I
smokes.
mean, this is her second transplant. I
Oh
can't
yeah.
imagine that transplants are cheap by any means. So, I actually
Oh
don't know how much they cost because we don't even see anything anymore.
yeah. Like I thinking about the amount kiddos like ours, like rare medical kiddos, like especially Bella. I've chatted with some of her doctors here, like in Canada, and it's like just thinking about the cost on our healthcare system is millions and billions, especially when you take into account that we lived in hospital for practically 10 years, right? And
Yeah,
over 1,000 nights. But like just to like I know I've had friends that have had kids in the States and it's literally like price tags are on every item in the hospital room. Like
correct.
is yeah, like so like when you like I go in, I have a C-section, I'm in the hospital for 4 days. I don't walk out with a bill. You walk
But
out with a bill.
yeah, we have a bill. Like ibuprofen and Tylenol, because like
Yeah.
after you have a C-section, you don't get like hard drugs. You get ibuprofen and Tylenol, and you're just supposed to rotate them. They're like higher dose, but you could create that dose at your house. So
Yeah.
for and our next kid is like a whole nother thing to talk about. Just
Mhm.
because it is a genetic condition.
Mhm.
So that's like a whole thing, but,
Yeah.
yeah, we had to, like, pay for the Tylenol and ibuprofen when I can get and it's like $1,000 for these meds, and I was in the hospital for, um, 5 days. They let me stay longer, I think, because my child was in the NICU. But yeah, it's you can get an itemized receipt, and,
Yeah.
like, 1 ibuprofen is, like, $500, and you're like, "What?" I can buy a
Oh
bottle at the pharmacy, like, that's insane.
yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I am. Yeah. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. We could get like, do you want to
Yeah.
move? But
I have some things to say about that, that's for
I,
sure.
I would I would think that is a hot topic these days. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna pause for a second. My husband is texting me and I don't know if it's serious or not. What does he say? Oh. He said he just texted me, come on, but I'm like, There was no. Anyways, he's fine. Okay. What else? I don't. There's so much more. I don't want to miss anything. But if you have to go, like, let me know.
Oh no, I'm good.
You guys are doing okay. Okay. Um. I'm like, what have we covered already? Do you have questions for me? I am like an open book. I don't want to bombard you with questions, but if you have anything you want to ask
No.
me, shoot.
Well, because Huxley doesn't have the Hirschsprung,
Oh, Hirschsprung. Yeah. Yeah.
so how did that play? I know you said you've spent a lot of time. So she had her BMT. Her immune system, I'm assuming, was fixed, and her main issue was her bowels then?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
she had a transplant, didn't she?
yeah. Yeah. So it was like Hirschsprung's, skid, Hirschsprung's, bowel transplant
Okay.
in like the shortest way possible. But yeah, so when she was born, it was all we were focusing on to keep her alive was to deal with this her bowel disease. And what it ended up being was long segment Hirschsprung's, which means like typically Hirschsprung's is a small little section of the bottom of your colon really close to your rectum that is like dead colon, so it forms this blockage.
Okay.
And so what we didn't know was like they even contemplated for a while that like they've never even seen Hirschsprung's go into the small bowel, but it was like a surgery. They take a section out, sew her back together. She'd have an ostomy. At one point, she didn't. Same things would happen: distension, vomiting, couldn't keep anything down, extreme like pain, distension, um, issues with food, and like no allergies. It was just all bowel function. And so it was, sometimes there was paralysis. So sometimes her bowels would just stop working altogether. And
Okay.
then they would be and like super slow motility, or like SIBO, where it's like um, overgrowth of small bacteria overgrowth that would be 10 times worse than what you and I could handle.
Okay.
Um, and so basically, it's supposed to be this usually, typically, you take this small end of the colon out and they have an ostomy for a couple months. You sew them back, you take away the ostomy, they're good to go. But that never
Okay.
happened with Bella. It was like they do that and then she would be worse a couple months later. They'd go in, they'd look, and they'd be like, okay, is it the scar tissue? Nope. Sew her back up, get her to try and recover. So it was like this literally a surgery every couple of months on her bowels. Thought we
Wow.
would have it fixed, it wasn't. Thought we had it fixed, it wasn't. Eventually, we got to the point where she was 3. And so, like, basically, she had her bone marrow transplant at 1. And that was
Mhm.
like basically a real smooth part of her life until her actual bowel transplant, because the bowels literally got rested for a year because it was like so many precautions around infections and not allowing her to eat foods. And so it was like a lot of like basically like a liquid diet because her bowels
Okay.
couldn't function. So when she got IV nutrition or liquid nutrition, it was like the easiest for her bowels. So it kind of covered a lot of the major issues that were really there. And essentially what we later figured out is it affected her entire bowel, which they had never seen before. Some specialists were even like, maybe it's not even Hirschsprung's because Hirschsprung's doesn't go into the small intestine yet. The same thing with her small intestine was happening. So when she was 3, she pretty much had like 3/4 of her colon already gone. And I'll never forget that surgery because we almost lost her. That was like a 7. That surgery to form her ileostomy was almost as long as her actual bowel transplant. And so what was happening when she was 3, she was so distended. She went septic and they did emergency surgery and they found um, her bowels had blocked, like it equaled it, there was so much they halfway through the surgery they're like, you might not recognize her because the bowels blocked so much stool. It was like equivalent to you and I having like a 20-pound poop.
Oh my
and
gosh.
and so her tiny little body at 3 years old,
So big.
so big, and it had caused this to happen. That at that point they were like, her whole entire colon is done. They took it out. They even took a small bit of her small intestine. And so then from 3 years to 6 years old, we tried dealing with the small intestine, but she kept having so many issues that were similar to when she even had some colon.
Okay.
And, and it just eventually got to the point where they're like, she's surviving off of IVs, but she doesn't have any vessels left because of all these surgeries and all these Broviacs. She literally had one vessel left. And they were like, she's not going to survive unless she gets a bowel transplant because her bowels are failing and she has no IV access. So it was like a race against time at that point. And so she got listed at 6 years old, like 2020. And we got the call in 2023. And her bowel transplant was fully successful.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so sadly, another child had to pass away. His name was also Waylon, and he was also 4. He was the same age as her little brother at the time. And I came to know his mom and his family, and he saved Bella's life because not only did he give her bowels that matched and they worked, but literally it was like 6 days after that her line failed. So the line that was supporting her through transplant, if it had failed prior, she would have never been able to get bowel transplant. And then we would have been looking at like, I couldn't even explain it at the time, but it would have been an end of life where your child that's surviving off of IVs would no longer have access to IVs. And it was like horrible to think about that. And then she got the bowel transplant just in the nick of time. And yeah. And then we had, thankfully, it gave her more time until, unfortunately, still to this day, I have a hard time understanding why or how, but the organized pneumonia, I mean, I would probably have to, like, grief does a horrible thing with your memory, but I would probably have to ask over and over again to really understand it. But the way I've come to understand it is that, like, the organized pneumonia, there was no sign, there was no way of knowing, there was no way of preventing. And they told me that the way it developed, they had never seen it in their lifetime. Like, these are her specialists at Toronto Sick Kids, and they're like, we will likely never see this happen again. They knew she had a bone marrow transplant prior to a solid organ transplant, but they would never have expected 9 years later it could maybe have possibly had an effect where when you ask the 3 immune systems to work together, like her mixed, right? And then a bowel as a third coming in, they would have never expected for it to maybe have caused that.
Okay.
Yeah, to have.
Is that where they're like connecting it? Is the 3 immune systems are what caused the pneumonia?
Yeah, basically saying, okay, what part of the body are we not happy with? Let's get rid of it. And it happened to be her lungs. And so then her lungs basically just shut down because there was absolutely no infection. They did every test under the sun. Like, from the first time in March when she basically had needed oxygen and we didn't know, her lungs basically were slowly like failing, and we didn't realize because we had to call 911 in March, the March before she passed away. We had to call 911 because she'd fallen asleep. And Lyle had went in to check on her, and he couldn't wake her up. And it was just, she wasn't getting enough oxygen. And she recovered from that. We came home. She went back to school. And then in May, we were just so on guard. So then in May, it happened again, but not as bad. So Lyle had put her to sleep. I was out with friends, and I got the call, and he's like, I'm taking her to the hospital. I had a hard time waking her up. And then from there, we were in hospital trying to figure out, like, what's wrong with her lungs. Like, and there was just never an infection. There was not COVID. There was not pneumonia. It was why are her lungs failing? What's going on, kind of thing. And
her body just attacked itself.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah. But I really,
all the rare things happen, you know, like, so hard to wrap your head around.
So much
that she
rarity.
had
Yeah.
CHH and then her bowels, and they'd never seen anything like it. And
Yeah.
now the
Yeah.
pneumonia, like,
Yeah. It was a lot of rarity and a lot of miracles. And I just hope that I can carry on her brave legacy as best I can. And uh, I just need you to know that Huxley gives me so much love. And I just want to say thank you guys. I'm so happy. Sorry to get all emotional. I'm just so happy that my TikTok family could point me in the direction of you too. Um, because it's just honestly been so healing for me. And I wanted to mention on here too, like, I think it was a mix of you and everyone tagging me on TikTok, sharing Liv and Ellie's
oh,
page
yes, we
as
love
well.
them.
Yes. And so basically, like, oh my goodness, if you put Ellie and Huxley and Bella in a room, they would be literally like triplets.
Yes,
Um,
they look so much alike. It's
yes.
insane.
Oh, it's
And
insane.
Ellie and Huxley are like 5 days apart only.
No way. Are
Yeah.
they? Oh,
Yes.
that's okay. So I had a when did you discover Bella and I?
I think it was before it had to be around the time that Huxley was in the hospital because that's when I started posting on TikTok a little bit more. The first
Okay.
couple of videos that I had posted were like just me messing around.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but I started posting on TikTok more, like sharing our story. It didn't like blow up until this pantry video that I posted of her like a couple
Praise God.
months ago.
I got like a
Um,
million, a million views. I was like, what?
yeah, it's
I love it.
insane of her just like hanging out in our pantry. It's crazy.
Yeah. TikTok's
Um,
so random. It's just it's so
so
random.
random, so
Yeah.
random, but in the best way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I found you guys and it brought me
Oh,
like so much hope in the hospital. Just seeing like how strong Bella was and like her outlook on life was amazing. And so that was so good to see and I was like, okay, well, Huxley can do this. If Bella
oh
is
yeah.
doing that and she's
Yeah.
still dealing with stuff and she's like, when I'm 18, I want to go on a date. I loved that video.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
um
Yeah.
yeah, so I found that and that was like so fun to watch and I was like, gosh, they do look so much alike. But
Yeah.
also they have their own personalities and all of
Yeah.
that. So it was really hard actually when Bella passed. I mean, I know I didn't know her, but I was like connecting it to Huxley, and so I got kind of scared. And
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So
Yeah.
that was hard.
That was a big reason I wanted to really have a chance to talk with you too, because I know there's so many similarities, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to talk to Kennedy and scare her, but I also want to be able to tell you like this is why they're so different and that you shouldn't have any fear because there's a lot of differences with Bella's story that would be a cause of comfort instead of fear because there's things that happen to Bella that wouldn't happen to Huxley because of the differences. And so as much
Yeah,
similarities as there are, there's a lot of differences that are thankfully keeping Huxley very safe.
yeah.
Yeah.
We are very thankful. I think out of the spectrum of CHH, Huxley has like a less severe form, I would say, of it, where she doesn't have like the gut issues, because I know that's a big one. I do
Mm-hmm.
know some kids don't even have skids. Like there's a family in Minnesota. I don't know them that well. I just like know of them, and they have two kids with CHH, and one had a lot of gut issues, and their second one hasn't even really spent any time in the hospital, didn't need a bone marrow transplant,
Oh
like
wow.
is living
Yeah.
their best life. So it's
Yeah.
just crazy that the condition is so broad.
Yeah. 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 And it's hard to anyone I've come to know that even has remotely the similar like diagnoses, they're all in the States and they're all far away. Like you guys are all far away from me. I'm like, there's nobody here.
Well, you're in
Uh,
Canada. We're in Minnesota. I mean, it's closer.
yeah, you know what? I've been in Minnesota. So when was it? November 2024. My family, Lyle and Waylon and I were invited to the global RMH
Okay.
anniversary. And so we flew to, is it Minneapolis?
MSP. Yeah.
Yeah. Between
Yeah.
there and Chicago, to go from Chicago to like to hop before. So like
Which is
really,
like it's like a 45-minute flight. It's so
yeah.
fast.
Yeah, it's you guys, it's quick. We could hang out. Like literally we could
Yeah.
hang out. You're closer than Toronto, and I've been going to Toronto for a while. I was gonna ask you too. I had like a list of some random questions. I'm like, wait, are these in order? Just a list of ones I wanted to go over before we end today's episode. When did you first consider yourself a medical mom, or first hear that terminology and relate it to yourself?
I think I've heard the term medical mom like just out in the world.
Yeah.
The NICU, they say it sometimes.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think I would say I was like a medical mom until we hit our first transplant. Just
Okay.
because everything really medical happened around that time. Because before that, I mean, we weren't even using her G tube. So we were going to physical therapy, occupational therapy. Otherwise, I mean, we were going to like some doctor's appointments, but she was in isolation so much that
Yeah.
we tried to do it online, or if she needed labs, like we would go there and then go back home. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like in this little bubble
Yeah. It's
where
kind
we
of
were
like
just
you.
doing the little, like the bare minimum, and we were
Yeah.
hanging out at home and
Yeah.
soaking
Yeah.
in. I mean, she was kind of still a newborn. I mean, she wore newborn clothes till she was like 6 months. So I was,
Yes. Oh, that was something I wanted to ask you. I could text you this later and show you, but I still have Bella got so many clothes sewn for her and given to her um with that are medically adaptive clothing. So I have these
oh, that's
cute
amazing.
dresses. I have cute dresses that have G-tube access and port like Broviac access. I should show them to you and see if I can send them to you, because
Oh, that'd be so sweet. You don't have
if
to do that.
Huxley, no, if she could wear them, that would mean so much more to me than them sitting in Bella's closet, right? So that would be me. I'll show them to you. She has this one dress this lady made for us. We met this seamstress that made these beautiful kids clothing, and she had made them adaptable. She has this one fabric. I remember Bella getting this dress and being like, "What? It turns color in the sunlight."
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the fabric that she uses, it's like a cheetah fabric that turns color. It turns like purple in the sunlight. It's so cool. And I will
Love
show you this later. But don't let me forget. I have quite a bit that I would love to pass on if it fits. If it fits, little Huxley. Um yeah, I remember it's almost kind of like I had this realization. I started calling myself a medical mom. It really hit hard when I would have to like, there was times when I would obviously like run Bella's TPN and IVs at home.
Mhm.
Um I've had to draw her blood at home. Um
Change the
all of
dressing.
the
Yeah,
dressing,
yeah.
yes, right? Like and
Sterile if you're, like, walking around like this, you know?
yes, yes, right? Like I want to get paid for this. It's like, I am
You
a nurse.
should. Come on.
I should be
We're doing a lot more than a typical would.
like,
So,
could
it's
you look
just like
during your degree, could you like look into grandfathering us medical moms in? Like, can you make that an option?
yes.
Bring bring it up to your professor or whoever you talk
We
to.
were, during her second transplant, it actually happened at night, which is kind of uncommon, but the plane got delayed, and then they had to filter the blood, and it was like this whole thing. So her transplant didn't happen until like 7:30 p.m. So the doctors and some of the nurses were there, and everyone was like hanging out and watching, and it like I like started it up, and I was like taking her blood pressure and putting on her pulse ox, and the doctor was like, "So can I like sign something that this is like your clinical hours?" And I was like, that would be really great. Like, I'm living in the hospital right now. I should get a
Yeah.
couple hours out of this. Like,
That's amazing that you had mentioned earlier that you got when you're at home, it has to be at home. You have to be out of hospital to get what like paid for certain hours of like home care
yeah,
nursing tech.
yeah. But it's
Okay,
not
well,
nursing, it's called a personal care assistant. So you
personal
don't need
care.
a
Yes.
degree or anything. You just like
Yeah.
take care of, you help them.
Yeah. I shouldn't complain too much. We do get, I forget all the terminologies, but there's parents of critically ill and injured children um form of
Like
support,
yeah, like a
financial support that we've been
stipend or
able, yeah,
something.
that we've been able to acquire when Bella was here. There's lots of different supports here too, but
Yeah,
um
and unfortunately, like, the state that I live in is very, um, I don't know, like, progressive, not I mean,
mm,
it's a whole thing right now in the world. I'm sure that you've seen some of it.
yeah.
But Minnesota is a great place. I know not all states pay for or like even allow parents to be the caretaker. They'll pay
Okay.
somebody, but they won't let it be the parents,
Hmm.
which I think that if you're a medical parent, like that kind of becomes your whole life
Yeah.
for a while. I mean, I hope it's not my whole life, that I'm like a medical mom, but I don't think you're ever not a medical mom if you
Right.
have ever been one. So even as Huxley gets older and we get through some of this medical stuff, hopefully like her dwarfism and the body, like because we see an orthopedic too, or like
Mhm.
I don't know if you ever got followed by one of those too, or
Yeah.
if it
Yeah.
was like she had enough going on that they didn't like look at her growth, but they look at Huxley's growth, but
Yeah.
she hasn't had any issues with that. I think that she'll be in like physical therapy for as long as they'll let her, just because it has done wonders for her. I mean, she was like walking and
Yeah.
everything by the appropriate age that they want your baby to meet milestones. But I think it's just like the state that we live in is very generous, where a lot of them don't allow it, which is just wild to me because not the
Yeah.
care isn't the same if it's not coming from like the
Yeah.
parents or the family members, because you just never
Yeah.
know what'll
Yeah.
happen
Well,
with a stranger.
I had a lot of people like there was when I was out of hospital in the beginning and home with Bella and learning TPN and learning all these medical things to do at home. It was so overwhelming. It would have been great to have like an assistant, but I never felt comfortable enough saying I will train you to care for my child. I'm like, I already know so much. I know how, like, I'm a source of comfort for her, but also of like way more
Knowledge.
knowledge
Yeah.
than and some stranger that comes in that I train. And it was like on top of that, I don't have the energy to train someone else to know all the signs, the signals, and the quirks and things, and then let alone it be in my own house. I was like,
Yeah.
no, like I don't care how exhausted I am. I'm the only one that can do this. Like, and
But that's
not
hard because, like, trait
yeah,
kids, like, you have to have a
yeah,
nurse 24/7.
yes,
You
yep,
can't be awake 24/7, like, it's not
right,
feasible,
no,
which I
yeah,
know, like, a lot of them my TikTok is now, like, a lot of different types of medical moms, so I know a lot of them have a hard time, like, finding trustworthy nurses or nurses that just,
yeah,
like, blend with your family, so,
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, that is another thing that I think I don't I mean, Huxley doesn't have a trach, but I think that there's, like, a need for that type of home nursing
yeah,
too, where,
yeah,
I mean, that's kind of not like a passion, but like that's like close to my heart too, where that would be a good role to go into as well.
Yeah, if I could do, I would, if I could get into nursing, if I could grandfather my way in and not have to go back to school, I would love to be that, be like a home care nurse for a medical kiddo, or pediatrics somehow,
Yeah.
some way. Yeah, for sure. I know with Bella, I remember with ortho, like looking at her growth and her bones in the future, they, I do remember them telling me they were like in maybe 5 to 10 years they may need to look at surgery. I think it was to do with her hips and her legs,
Okay.
and just the way, not anything to do with her spine. And I remember when they did, I think it took a specialist out of California to confirm her CHH, because she was so confusing to them for so long because she's so proportioned. And when
Yes.
we
Yeah,
got,
they are.
yeah, and when we got the results back, the specialist, it was a CHH specialist, had told our genetics team in Canada, they were like, she was so hard to diagnose because they measure the root bones, right? Like the shoulder to the elbow and the hip to the knee. And she
Mhm.
was so proportionate for like, he was just like, is very, very, very difficult to diagnose her. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
because it's not like
yeah,
a normal, I mean, it's dwarfism, but like achondroplasia is the most common type of dwarfism where their
yeah.
torso is like normal length, but their arms and limbs are their limbs are short. So, I mean, like Huxley and Bella, they're like just
Yeah.
miniature,
Yeah.
like they're just
Yeah.
shrunken down, but everything is proportional. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that also makes it hard to like, I mean, shoes were a huge thing that we had a huge issue
Oh,
finding because they only make like baby shoes and she was
yeah.
walking and I was like, well, you need
Really?
like shoes that we can go outside in.
Yeah.
And
Not
they like,
soft.
oh, that was the hardest thing to find.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I hear that. Bella didn't actually start walking. Well, she was just, it was like a surgery and then recovery, and like it was like a surgery every time she needed to, or we hoped she'd meet a milestone, like even just sitting up, and there's like a surgery and his abdomen surgery, right? Like bowels.
Yes.
So she got away with the baby shoes for quite a while, but that's because she didn't she finally took her first steps, not for lack of trying, but because of surgeries. She took her first steps when she was 2 years old, and we so she had her bone marrow transplant in March, and we got home for Christmas, her first Christmas at home in December of 2015. So we got home just like a week after she learned how to walk on her own, kind of.
Well, that's so fun
Sweet
though.
little, sweet
They're
little
little.
milestone.
Yeah, and,
Yeah,
like, I mean, the way Huxley stands up, she's, like, no hands, she just is up, and I'm like,
I know. Yeah, she just like just. It's
she's
just so
got
funny.
the best abs. I mean,
Yeah,
she has,
yeah,
like, a little belly because she's
yeah,
compacted, but,
yeah,
like, when she's sitting up, you can, like, see them. They're, like, very defined.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was watching. I'm like, I need to get off of this page, or Huxley's or Kenny's gonna be like, "Why are you stalking me?" And I'm like, just like, I can't stop watching Huxley because she's just such a sweetheart and she's so
It's
funny.
okay, Huxley also likes to watch herself, so
Oh, good, good. Yeah, I know. Um, I know. I was gonna ask you about your TikTok story, but I also realized we have been chatting for a real long time, and I should probably let you go. But if there was like one last little thing to end on, I was gonna ask you about your TikTok story. I know I started my socials, I mean, back in the day. Um, like
I
2014.
mean,
It was like
it's yeah, that's the
it
year I graduated high school, so
Oh my god. That's too funny. Okay, well, so in 2014, I started, I mean, we spent the first 2 years of Belle's life in hospital, like all those complications. So it was like a source of my connection to like updating family and friends. But I don't know if I ever mentioned this yet in our messages, but I started a YouTube channel called Hospital Mom Hacks.
Oh, I
The
did not know that.
I did. So if you look back right now, like my YouTube channel is like Kyla CT, but it used to be called Hospital Mom Hacks, and I would put little like hacks of like medical mom tidbits on there, like how to like wrap their arms when you want to do a dressing change, or how to clean the G tube. And I wanted to be able. I've always just found healing in helping other people, and I wanted other medical moms to be able, to be able to help their little ones in hospital. And then I also like I started a blog and then my Facebook, and that morphed into like Instagram and then our TikTok. But it was like I I really was worried about this world. Once my child was finally able to get out of hospital and be in this world, I didn't want them bombarding her with so many questions. And not I really wanted this world to be more aware of her strength and what she's been through, so she wouldn't have to take on the stress of having to explain to everyone finally when she was old enough, or like, to get out and go to school even. And so that was a big part of why I started my socials. And then when TikTok came along, it was just a big source of joy. Bella was 6 by the time TikTok came along, and we'd howl scrolling at like crazy cat videos. And then she was like, Mom, like I want to be on, I want to do this. And then it was like, from there, it was like, well, a little bit with Instagram too, but for it really after TikTok, it was like, we have this platform to advocate for other medical families. And that's when I really wanted to start sharing more and just in advocacy, and Bella really took that on her own, and understood it as well. But I just wanted to. I love what you're doing on TikTok, and so I just wanted to ask you like what kind of birthed your why you chose TikTok to kind of share your journey, and what kind of birthed that. Yeah.
Well, at first, TikTok was like it was like such a fun app. Um, I feel like 2020, like during the pandemic, it kind of blew up, and I was like,
Yeah.
I don't need another social media. Like, I'm
So
good.
was
And it
I.
was like dancing, right? We were like dancing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, I don't need that. And then I think later on I got it, and I just was like in the shadows. I just scrolled and looked,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then I started posting updates on TikTok, and then I used those videos and was posting them on like Instagram and Facebook the first time. And my Instagram and Facebook are like private still.
Yeah.
Those are like friends and family. Also, like, it just feels like a different platform to like just be in contact, I guess. It just like feels like it reaches more people than like
Yeah.
Facebook or Instagram would. So I just never like really continued to post on those. I mean, I post like some photos, but nothing major. You're not missing out on anything for not being
Yeah.
on those. They also
Yeah.
feel like that's where all like your high school friends are, and I don't need all my high school friends like seeing me post on TikTok. Not that they probably don't now, but
Yeah.
yeah, at first it was like, "Oh, nobody can see my TikTok, like, I don't know who it's reaching." So that's how I started posting on TikTok, as, like, being like, "Nobody can see it. I don't know these people. It's not embarrassing." Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and so I just continued to post on that platform. I
Yeah.
think I figured out how to, like, edit the videos, and just
Mhm.
it's just where I continue to post, and
Yeah.
I'm, like, not really making any money, so it's just, like, for fun, and
Right. Yeah. That's the same here. I mean, Canada never really I think it's not the case in the States anymore, but it used to be. I think they've changed it since, like,
you
as a like
can yeah, you can make money, but you
yeah.
have to be, like, real famous. Like, you could make money. You have all the followers, the views, yeah. If you were in the
Yeah,
States, yes,
it would
but
be different. I know there's I
yeah,
know oh, I know Canadians that have moved for that reason,
okay.
and I'm just like, I would never, like, I no, but, I know it's crazy to think, my little guy is
Oh, hi.
Waylon, are you saying hi? He has been Lyle and him have been texting me like, "Are you done with the laptop?" You Lyle sends me this Mr. Bean. I don't know if you can see it. It's the Mr. Bean where
Oh
he's like
yes.
checking his watch. Okay, sweetheart, I'll be like 2 minutes. You go upstairs. I'll finish talking to my friend Kennedy and then get out of this. Such a dick.
Hi.
Okay, you go. Let me finish. I gotta let Kennedy do it. I'm holding her hostage right now, and she's
No,
got.
no, you're good. You're good. This is my plan for the night.
Oh, good. Okay. I mean, amongst your child recovering from a bone marrow transplant and RN school. Oh my gosh, you're like a superhero. Okay, go. Let me finish. I
No.
promise, like 2 more minutes, but you gotta let mommy finish. I know. I'll come see you later. Close the door, okay? Little stinker. Stinker doodle. No, go. You have to go. Because mommy's got to finish up.
How old are you, Waylon?
Oh, he can't hear you because I have the headphones on.
Oh.
Yeah.
How old is Waylon now?
7.
7.
He's 7. Yeah. Yeah.
How do you know my name?
Oh, well, because I'm talking to her through the mic, but you can't hear because I got the headphones
Yeah,
on.
I can hear it.
Oh, right. Oh.
Say something.
Hi.
Yeah.
Did you hear? Oh, yeah, you did hear? Okay. Okay. Bye, baby. I'll be right up. Little stinker.
Gotta love it. It's
I know.
fun.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's what I'll say to like end this is like we're gonna need to chat again because I know a lot of like my listeners and my followers are gonna be like, we need an update because on
Oh,
Huxley,
Huxley.
we'll have to know how she's doing. And then we gotta talk about um uh oh, what was the other thing? We'll have so much more to we need an
I
update.
would thinking because our condition is genetic. How did you
Yeah.
guys go about deciding to have another child?
That was yes, because you were okay. So, do we keep talking about this, or do we save that for like a part 2 of this episode? Or do you want me to like briefly?
No, we can keep talking. I'm good.
Okay. So for Lal and I, Bella was, of course, like conceived naturally, but Waylon was PGD IVF. So pre-genetic diagnosis IVF. And so what we had found, I mean, after talking with our genetic teams, it just seemed, understanding here in Canada, the millions of dollars, and probably in Bella's case, like billions of dollars that her rare conditions caused our healthcare system. You would think that when they tell you, there's a 1 in 4 chance of your, and then not only being what we've been through with our child going through such horrible, scary medical years of this medical life, and then a condition like SCID that is fatal.
Mhm.
You would think that if you knew you could avoid that and avoid your healthcare system millions and billions of dollars, that there would be at least some sort of coverage or full coverage for IVF, knowing that
Yes.
that is
Yes.
the only way to know 100% your next child won't be affected. So if we
Mhm.
were to, it's either you take the choice for free and not know and gamble your next child having a fatal condition, being born with a fatal condition, or you pay, upwards of like $10,000 to $20,000 to know your next child will be healthy and safe and playing around behind you while you're trying to do a podcast. Waylon,
Yes.
jump in. Mommy's having serious conversation.
I have one more question.
Okay, what?
I want to play reading eggs when you're done. Okay?
It is almost your bedtime.
Please.
My iPad's gonna die, and Dad's been bugging me about you guys golfing, and
I will just take it.
my husband just texted me. He's like, "It's been 2 hours. You're not Rogan." I was like,
We'll break
"Yeah,
it into 2 parts,
I'm Rogan today, buddy." I have a very special friend, and we have a lot to discuss. But we like I am game to, if we put a pin in it for now and then we find another time to chat in the near future and we could have an update and we can go into all like the details. Also, apart from that, I can text you more information too about
Okay. I'm
this little
whatever.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll wrap up. My little turkey's taking over. Okay, you have to go out of the room for 2 minutes. Let me finish talking to Kennedy. Go eat it.
Can I take this?
You can take Larry. Yes, you can take Larry. Okay, but yeah, I should wrap it up because my boys are bothering me but honestly, I would talk.
And your producer, I forget his name, probably doesn't
Oh,
want to edit our 2-hour video.
Denny. Oh, Denny. Yeah, he's probably like, yeah, Kyla,
He's
come on.
gonna be like, wow, these girls can yap.
They are talking. No, but okay, we'll text and we'll get together again soon and we will continue the conversation no matter what. Because I have so much more. And I'm just
I mean, it doesn't even have to be on the podcast. I mean, we could
Yeah, we can just leave all of you in the dark and
yeah.
have our whole conversation on our own.
No
but
update for you, you know.
no, not for you guys. Sorry, you don't matter. No, just kidding.
Just kidding. It's on my TikTok. Actually, I
Yeah.
haven't really posted, but nothing has happened. So
Yeah, it's been that's good in some cases, right? Like that's good
yeah,
to just
yeah. We're
chill.
like, if we can coast through until like my update is Huxley and Grafted, that would be amazing.
Yes, that is our goal. That'll be our goal. I was gonna say in closing, I don't want to forget to mention this, and I don't think I have yet, but your TikTok handle is okay. So it's your title's Kennedy and Huxley, and your handle is at KGEIS27.
Yeah, K Geist 27.
K Geist. Oh, okay. K Geist 27. Okay. So, and I wanted to encourage everyone to visit your page because the Kennedy has a link in her bio that takes you to Huxley's Amazon wish list. And so I love that. I had that set up for Bella for a little while and it mattered so much it wasn't about just like getting a gift, but when your little one is this young and in hospital and going through so much and to have mail sent or to have something to just a little pick me up there, I can't count how many times where I wasn't even expecting something and the nurse would come with a package or a gift and it was like the perfect timing. Like Bella had just been through something really hard or she was worried about something and our nurse would pop in with this gift from someone from Amazon. It was like it just meant the world to help them through, just helping them through. So when I saw your Amazon wish list, I was like, oh yes, that's so good for
And
her.
that like people love Huxley. Like they don't know her, but I feel like just like
yes,
the love that you feel. Not that people need to send us anything. I mean,
no,
girl.
but I mean,
But yeah. It's
I
just
get
like
it.
amazing that people want to help.
People really, and they want to help and sometimes they just don't know how. And when it's as simple as like a link in your bio and they're like, yes, I can do this, I can send this, and this little girl can get a gift. And I know sometimes you share on your TikToks like your unboxing with her and she gets to see them and those reactions are precious. And I know what it meant for Bella and I can see what it means for Huxley, so I wanted to make sure I shared that with our Bravelings and to let them know that they could bless Huxley, and it would mean a lot. And so if you could visit at KGeist27 and check out our page. And then in the meantime, you guys are just going to have to wait for a part 2 and an update because I am going to say goodnight to Kennedy and thank you again for being here with me and chatting. And I'm so excited for our new medical mom friendship and all the positive, awesome updates that are coming Huxley's way.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we got connected.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. It's been so much fun.
Good. Well, tell your hubby I say hi. Give Huxley a kiss for me. I was going to say hug, but that came out as Huxley.
We love a nickname. We love nicknames.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, I'm going to let you go. And it's the same time there. So I don't know if you're an old granny like me, it's almost bedtime. So
No, it's time to do homework probably, you know.
Oh goodness. Okay.
All that fun stuff. I also really like have you watched the show The Pit on HBO?
Okay, no, I've been mixing up with The Rip. I recently just saw The Rip. Have you seen The Rip?
No, not yet. I've seen
Oh,
like trailers.
it's good. It's so good. But I've had lots of my friends tell me about The Pit, and it's really funny because it's like initially I'm like, "Oh, I want to see this. This will be good." And then my one friend, bless her heart, she told me about it. She's like, "Yeah, it's set in the ER and like the whole season is like one day in the ER." And then she started watching it and she gets to like episode 4 and she texts me and she's like, "Oh, this won't do." She's like this, and she was just stressed that it would bring up like it like sadness in my grief and like kind of make things worse for me. And she's like, maybe hold off. She was worried
Yeah.
that she gave me a terrible recommendation. I was like, no, it's okay. It's okay. But
The show, like the coordinator, the person that they use to like help with the medical stuff is actually from the University of Minnesota.
no
So
way.
actually the hospital that we're at. I don't know which doctor it is, but I saw that and I was like, oh, that's so cool. That's my hometown.
Oh,
Or my
that's so
home state, I guess. Yeah.
look at you. Oh, cool. That is so cool. Have you watched his? I think it's called His and Hers. His
No,
and
I've
Hers.
seen that. I haven't. I don't really watch a lot of shows right now.
Like, Kyla, I don't have all that time on my hands. I'm kind of
I need
busy.
to like catch up, But yeah. So there's like a couple where I'm like, oh, the season's coming out. I want to binge watch it for a day.
Yes. All right.
All right, are they texting you? We can.
Yes. Yes. Okay, I'll let you go. I thank you again, and I will be in touch, and hopefully we'll chat again soon.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Bye,
Good
Kennedy.
meeting you too. This is our first
Yes.
time.
Okay, have a good night.
Bye, you too.
Bye.